Yeah, okay. So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Um, yes, and thank you for being with us tonight and today. So, we will be having some special guests for this training. So, it should have been Ben, but Syed will be taking over and Brian, and they will be leading a training on rapid some updates and improvements. So we're very excited for this news, Said and Brian. So before we start, I may need to give out some simple rules. So please do avoid opening your mics while Said and Brian are leading the training. But I'm sure they will be opening up the call to questions, and I guess that would be the sign wherein we could ask their questions, raising our hand. So let's be very polite and respectful of their space and make sure that this is a very, very safe space. So please be kind enough to be thoughtful about each other. I guess that would be it from my side. Saeed, I'll be passing it to you now.
Awesome. Thanks, Miko, for introduction and talking about like ground rules. Um, yeah, so basically, like I'm going to talk about maps at Meta, what we are doing with Meta, why we are building maps, and then I'm joined by Brian today. So I'm Said. I'm project manager at Meta. I'm geoinformatic engineer, OpenStreetMap passionate, and member of OSM Turkey, and I'm former youth mappers as well as like HotOSM volunteer. So my favorite web editor is Rapid, obviously, and mobile editor Everydoor, and then my everyday OSM app is Organic Maps. So Brian, you want to give quick intro as well before we
Sure.
start?
Yeah. So I'm glad to be here. I'm pretty much the tech lead for the Rapid editor right now, and my favorite editor is also Rapid. We are really committed to just every day we just try to make Rapid as good as it can be. Particularly for I guess speeding up people's edits to OpenStreetMap, making your editing more efficient. And so we've kind of have this steady stream of releases over the past year. And so like once we get into it, I'll talk a bit more about some of the new features that Rapid has. And we've also been working on integrating Rapid with the Hot Task Manager. So hopefully that'll be a little bit more streamlined soonish than it is today. So
Awesome. Thanks, Brian, for joining. So Brian is the man behind Rapid along Ben. So we're really thankful for Brian for all the work. So as I mentioned, I will talk about like why we are making maps at Meta, and then why maintaining open mapping tools, and then also give really quick intro about Rapid. Then Brian will take over and talk about improvements and updates. So at Meta, like we use open data to build maps and work with partners and improve them for everyone, because we are working on like improving maps in the open. Obviously, like we use OpenStreetMap data, and then we are improving OSM data, and we are supporting like maps in the community, which we collaborate with different communities across the world, and we provide like grants for the communities, and we support like OpenStreetMap project in general, and also we display maps in the wild. So what does it mean wild? In this case, we basically surface our maps to billions of users. So overall, like 3.5 billion people are using maps on our platform, and there are like different products where people are using our products and interacting our apps. And then our apps needs maps. That's why we are basically maintaining our map data. So here are like some of our products, and then you may see like different map services on different Meta products like Facebook pages, Instagram discovery, recommendation, marketplace. Actually, like when there is a crisis or disasters in the region, so we enable like this trust feature where people can mark themselves safe, as well as they can donate money for the disaster response to be used for the disaster response. So there are also like other services like WhatsApp, which is currently enabled in Brazil and India. So we're also working on like bringing digital and physical world closer together, and we are using OpenStreetMap data to basically build a digital twin of the world. And this means that like we need like as much as details we can. And I want to give quick update and quick overview like how we build maps. So we clearly use OpenStreetMap, and then but how we can make OpenStreetMap more excellent, and then which leads us to have like more edits, better quality, and we need more mappers. So this is pretty much very high level overview of like how we are building our maps. So we are crowdsourcing data from different tools like Mapillary, Rapid, and we are ingesting like open data by using Rapid, and then we are extracting also ML data from street level imagery and then aerial imagery. So we are pushing all of this data to OpenStreetMap, and then we are running a QA task, QA check on OpenStreetMap regularly, and then after we are pushing this data to Overture Maps, and then from Overture Maps we are consuming this map on our products. So here are some of the examples. So we generate like sidewalks from street level imagery and aerial imagery. And we have Mapillary, which we host more than 2 billion imagery, which are fully open for improving OpenStreetMap as well as for commercial purposes. So this is animation, like what's going on the behind the scene for Mapillary. So we generate like 3D point cloud from Mapillary and extract objects. So each of those extracted objects are also available for improving OpenStreetMap. So street lights, traffic signs, crossings, lane numbers, etc. So those are all available on OpenStreetMap. So this is another example what we're working on for improving like pedestrian infrastructure. We are getting like high resolution aerial imagery and then surfacing crossings, and then those crossings are basically like enable on map roulette challenges, where Brian is going to talk about like why we integrate map roulette into Rapid. We also collaborate with different communities across the world. Can anyone tell me like which maps are you guys seeing here? Any comments? Oh, my series.
OpenStreetMap.
Yes, that's correct, but with location. My Siri tried to guess, but couldn't really guess. All right, so you can clearly see like Manhattan Island here, right? So we collaborate with OpenStreetMap community in Brooklyn. So we map pretty much like all sidewalks and crossing in Brooklyn. And then here you can see, I don't know, this is probably very difficult to guess, but we collaborate with community like Youth Mappers community in DC, and then we map pedestrian infrastructure around DC. So this is the District of Columbia, and then we map surrounding area. And I want to show you like a little more into details. So this is pretty much our full stack, how we are maintaining and then keeping our map data updated. So we have base map data. We are getting open data from government, and then also like other open data providers. So for instance, like USGS has like a massive open data set for LiDAR data. And then so also like counties are opening their data when it comes to like addresses and buildings. So this is where Rapid plays very, very important role. So we use Mapillary obviously for extracting objects, and then all of those extracted data ingested to OpenStreetMap. Then at Meta, like we're also supporting other open source project like MapLibre, which is the styling service, as well as we support OSMCHA project. All right, let's get to the point. Here we are at the Rapid Editor. So if you have never heard of like Rapid Editor, and simply Rapid Editor is a web editing tool for modifying and improving OpenStreetMap data. So you can check out our website, rapideditor.org. If you want to go straight to the editor, you can just write like rapideditor/edit, and then you will be straight into our editing interface. So what is Rapid? Rapid is a functional web editing tool which is assisted by machine learning tools and AI, which help you to assist your mapping experience and then make you map faster. And also there are other features where you can surface open data. We will talk about those. To really easily get started with Rapid, just go to rapideditor.org/edit, and then you will basically see your login. You can log in with your OSM account, obviously, and then you can search your place where you want to make edits, and then or enable your location, and then just get editing going. So why Rapid is really helping you to save time, because we predict road network and then building footprints from the satellite imagery. So back then, like we basically process all the road data from Maxar's imagery, and then surface like ML predicted roads across the world. And then you can enable this layer here. If you click a Rapid button here, and then you will see different layers here. And then Facebook Road is basically ML predicted road across the world. And then, so this is maintained by our team. We also collaborate with other companies to surface other data sources, similar to like, for example, like Microsoft Buildings. Microsoft Buildings are available across the world. And we recently published Google Buildings. Google released open building data set. And then we collaborated with Esri to surface Google Building as well. So please check out a listed data set here. And then with those listed data set, you can you can get some assistance while you're mapping features. So this is pretty much like buildings coverage in the world. So if you are really into mapping buildings, I strongly recommend checking like Microsoft Building. For dense urban area, it might be challenging, but still it might be useful, and then to save time for your mapping. All right, we talk about like how ML and AI can help us to surface predicted like geometries for saving us time. And now we are talking about how we can basically get some help from open data. So there's a culture of like open data, which is not really global for every country. I mean, I'm originally from Turkey, which is very challenging to get open data from the government or municipalities. But for some countries, and then or for some cities, it's really easy to get open data. They have a regular cadence and maintaining open data. So there are like a couple of examples here. They're mostly from US because they have like long open data culture. And then you can see like list of open data set, like City of Boston release footways in the city, and then some cities are releasing their address data, etc. So with this data, similar to other ML data sources, and then you can see those geometries surface on Rapid, and as a mapper, your work is like just validating if data is valid, because as OSM is like maintained by volunteers, and we really care about like data quality, and we don't want to push whatever like government is providing, because there is a conflict issue, and then so each data needs a eye on it. So therefore, like our tool is helping people to verify if this data is valid to go to OSM. All right. So you can surface open data, and then you can also style this open data, and you can make it, style it, change the color, and then make it more visible, and then keep mapping. So here on the below screen, you can see like footways surface on Rapid. So basically, as mapper, your task is like checking the geometry. If geometry is good enough, you just basically accept this feature to be used, and then save your edits. If feature is not good, you just say like, no, this is not really ready to go to OSM. It needs like more manual, basically drawing the geometry. All right, that's pretty much like introduction to Rapid. So I will hand over to Brian to talk about the latest improvement we have done at Rapid. And stop sharing screen.
Sounds good. And I guess I can present my screen too. This might take a second to figure out. Oh, select Let's see. I want to just share my entire.
Seems like Google changed their interface quite a bit.
Okay, so hopefully you see, I guess, just all of us. I'm going to put it over to Rapid here. Do you guys see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just for a quick, I guess I'll just give you a quick intro into Rapid. Again, I know Saeed talked a lot about this, but Rapid is, if you've used ID Editor before, Rapid obviously looks a lot like ID. We were originally, I guess, a fork of ID, but then we realized that, you know, the performance of ID, we were kind of hitting a wall because the technology that ID uses to render all of these shapes onto the maps is not a very performant technology. And so once, you know, even in, I'm sure you've experienced this in places where OpenStreetMap starts to get really laggy and slow. And then imagine that we're overlaying, you know, buildings and roads and, you know, other predictive features on top of that. You know, the problem became just really bad. So we ended up rewriting a lot of the guts of ID. And at this point now, Rapid it's not just a fork. It's a separate piece of code. I'd say we diverged from ID probably about 3 years ago at this point. And so a lot of so what we're really excited about is, like, last year we released Rapid version 2, which is our WebGL enabled Rapid. If you use Rapid, I mean, if you just scroll it around, you'll notice that it's a lot more performant than ID is, just because of this WebGL technology. WebGL is just going to be a much faster way to draw stuff in a web browser. So Rapid version 2, a year ago we released it. It's WebGL, and then ever since then we've been doing this steady stream of releases about once a quarter or so. You know, every season we'll release another version of Rapid. And these new versions of Rapid have some cool features that you couldn't have, you know, if you were using ID. And so I guess I'd like to talk about, you know, some of those things, like why choose Rapid over ID if they like look the same, like what's the difference? So I'm gonna go kind of backwards. The recent release that we did was in May. This is May. It was just a few weeks ago. We released support for Esri Wayback. So Esri Wayback is cool because it's a special background layer that has like a date. And it lets you view all of the Esri imagery as it looked at different times. So this is like a shopping center near me, and you know they had some store here, but you could see over time that they start like taking pieces away from this store. And down here you can actually see the time that this image was taken was 2019, and then it was released in 2020. But you get this whole you know, this whole drop down of a lot more imagery than you could have had. Just, you know, you get to see things change over time, which is pretty neat. At some point there we go. They start building a new building here, and then this one up here is kind of under construction. And then they sort of finish it up. You can see the ground is still brown, but then they're like, no, pretty soon it finishes up. Yeah. So it gives you a lot more reference to your mapping. If you use this Esri Wayback feature, you can see the map change over time, which is pretty great. Also, like I noticed that this area right here is kind of like at an angle, which can make it sort of hard to map. So we've actually added rotation. This is another feature that we just shipped a few weeks ago. So you can shift cursor arrow to kind of rotate the map like this, or you can like option and drag the map around like this. Sort of like if you've used, you know, Google Maps or Mapbox or any of these other tools, you can rotate it to make it a little bit easier. I find it easier to map when, you know, the street grid is kind of aligned with what you're looking at. And I mean, I've been in these mapathons before where everybody in the whole room is mapping someplace and they're all kind of have their heads turned like this. So you don't have to do that anymore. So that's kind of nice. Let's see. We also just released support for a new thing called GeoScribble. So I'm going to switch over to another tab here. So GeoScribble is it's a new service released by the developer Ilya Zverev of EveryDoor. So if you've used the mobile editor EveryDoor and you walk around, you can survey. Now EveryDoor lets you kind of scribble on the map. I guess if you ever used field papers, it's kind of the same idea where you can make little notes to yourself, and then when you're back at your computer, if you turn on this GeoScribble annotations layer, see, I'll turn it on and off. You could see the notes that this person took. They said, okay, this is the water is here and it flows this way. So we bring in these notes as sort of another external data layer, and we style them the way that that EveryDoor styles them. You can see that this note was added, by EveryDoor. It says like, who added it, what type of feature it is, and then just if you wanted to use this as a reference for your mapping, you go out into the field, you take some notes, you come back, and the notes are here for you. So we're excited to see like kind of how people use this feature. It's brand new, and we hope to see like people use it and get some feedback about it. And then the other feature I was going to talk about was Map Roulette integration. So I've also got this set up. If we go over to Philadelphia, so Philadelphia is pretty densely mapped. Rapid handles it great though. I mean, this would be one of those cities where you'd really have trouble even just interacting with the map and dragging it around. But in Rapid, it works pretty okay. Again, Philadelphia has a street grid that's not quite north aligned, so we're gonna just turn the map a little bit to make this easier. And then these little green markers, I've got them turned on already, but if you open up map data, there's a new checkbox here called Map Roulette tasks, and you can throw around, and we have an integration with Map Roulette so that if there's tasks in the area, you can zoom into them and complete them. And so this is something that we're getting a lot of feedback on, actually. People really like this integration. We were doing this one the other day where, our machine learning has detected some crosswalks in Philadelphia. And, this is situations where we've created Map Roulette tasks for places where a user should come in and maybe audit the tagging just to see if the crosswalk has been correctly mapped or if there's some missing details. So there's a lot of words here. I'm not gonna read them all, but it just basically says, hey, check out this crossing and make sure it looks right. So we're gonna zoom in a bit to this intersection. You can see that these are zebra crossings that haven't really been filled all the way in. And so the way I would do this is I would just start drawing, like this, and call it a zebra marked crossing zebra. So this is another cool thing that Rapid has, is we've actually drawn icons for all the different kinds of crossings so that you can get as much detail as you want. And then I would straighten this and then I can go onto this one and I can say, I fixed it. Okay. And then I say submit. Cool. So then that is a Map Roulette task that has just been, we've just taken care of it. We mapped the crossing. And then when I go to save, this is another cool thing about this integration is Map Roulette provides some change set comment and hashtags for you already. So I don't even have to really worry about my change set comment or the hashtags. I know that they're set up for me because of the task that I just completed. We say uploading to OpenStreetMap, and here we are. So that was that's a really quick way to just to just work through these tasks. The other thing I didn't say, which is kind of useful, is that if you're working on a specific task with a team of people, you can filter it just for this one challenge ID. So every challenge has, so this missing crosswalks in Philadelphia is challenge, it says 42234. And so if I put that in, then some of these other ones will disappear, right? And then I'm only seeing the ones that, that my team wants to work on. Let's see, there's a few other features. If I go back a couple releases that I did want to talk about. Philadelphia is a good place to show this off too. We added a 3D map. This is a MapLibre integration. So if I say show 3D map, it will pop up down here. Even you can use it to get kind of a reference for the area that you're editing in. It shows the buildings and the 3D shapes around here. And then if you say we'll do something like this, I'll select this one. It's kind of hard to see, right? But you can interact with it. You can spin it around, and then if we spin this map around, it kind of stays in sync, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to do the thing like, so say this building, it says height is 13.41 meters. You know, you can change it here. I'm obviously not going to save this, but we'll make it like a 23 meters. And you'll see it actually gets higher over here, at like 100 meters or something. So, you know, now it's like a tall building. So, but yeah, it's a really cool little feature. If you're doing mapping of building heights, you might want to keep this thing turned on and just see, or even if you're just you know, obviously this is a thing that happens in OpenStreetMap sometimes, is people will put like feet instead of meters, they get it mixed up, or they, you know, they forget a decimal point and they make a building that's like really, really tall. You could see mistakes like that pretty easily in this view. And I thought I had one more thing to talk about. I guess I did talk about the crossing tags a little bit. I wanted to just say a few more words about crossing tags, because we spent a lot of time in our December release getting these really easy to work with. If you map, let's say, I'm going to do another one like this, where we add a sidewalk, we call it a zebra. If you know about crossings, you know that you're supposed to match the tags of this node with the tags of this way. So this is sort of unique to OpenStreetMap, where this is a case where they want the tags to kind of match. And it's, you know, if you weren't using Rapid, you would have to click this and then update it manually to match like this other place. And so that's another thing that we worked on, is say, like, if this, you want to tag it as a, you know, lines, with paired lines, you'll see like the icon is paired lines here, so that it keeps the tags in sync between the parent way and the child node. And then there's also places where, like, I guess we've added a lot of validation around this too, where if you open up the issues, it says everything with my edits look fine, but we can look for, you know, it'll pick up a lot more issues with crossing tags than it did before. So it can say things like update the tags for a zebra crossing, remove all the tags. It gives you some choices about, you know, working with the crossings and making them look and like really the best way that they can. This is an interesting one because they put a curb here, which is actually not really correct. So it did pick up on that. It says that, hey, like this is tagged as a crossing, but this node in the middle of the intersection is tagged as a curb. So, you know, you want to like look into that, fix it.
Sounds like a lot of validation, you know,
yeah,
going on over there.
But we put a lot of work into the validator just to catch issues, especially with the crossings that that ID and even JOSM aren't validating yet. Let's see. So we got the 3D map.
Questions around.
Oh, are there questions?
Yeah, I can ask, like, Miguel is asking, like, is there availability across the world for S3 Wayback Imagery, or is it just US only?
Wait, I'm sorry. I was just
Is S3 Wayback feature globally available for all world?
Esri Wayback is available globally. Yes, it is. So these are previous versions of the Esri World Imagery, and it will it'll actually, even that drop down that lets you pick between the dates, it tries to only show you dates where the imagery is believed to have changed in that area that you're looking at.
Yeah, another maybe like question here. Do we get like also metadata for other satellite imagery, or only Esri has the you know, acquisition data of the satellite? Because when you do like remote mapping, especially, you really want to know like when this satellite imagery was taken, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, let me go back to it. Oh, sorry. Go back to sharing my Chrome tab. So I'll share this whole window. It's going to be another infinity window, but yeah. So you had asked about I'm sorry, like if we go back to the Esri Wayback, you said you wanted to know when the imagery was taken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually do support this background panel, which will show the date that it was. This date is the date it was released into Esri, but this date will show you the date that it was taken. It says it's called vintage. And it even says the source was Worldview 2 from Maxar and the resolution. So there is some additional information that you get. The Esri the Esri imagery in Philadelphia is not that great here, but
Yeah, if we go to Kenya, for instance, like
yeah, you can try that.
maybe we can do live.
Like Nairobi. We'll see what the imagery looks like there. I'm very curious. Yeah. Oh, and somebody in the chat had said that there's no north arrow for the rotation feature. There actually is. I will show you that in a second. Okay, it is coming up now. That's right. Yeah, this button here is a north arrow actually. And so if you click it, it will turn the map back up. And if we rotate the map, you know, you can see this button up here does respond. It shows you this is the north arrow. Okay, so this Esri Wayback, let's see what Esri Wayback is showing here. Background. Yeah, we have some options in Kenya even. Let's see this. There's a Kenya Central Park. I don't know if it's changed at all, but we can take a look at 2014. Look like that. And then by 2018, I can see that they've changed a little bit. It looked like there was another kind of feature up here in like 2023. Yeah, they built a lot of stuff here in the Central Park.
Brian, there is another question from Rolf. Does the rapid hide features like ID Editor does to save bandwidth?
Yeah, that's actually another interesting question. So it does. We do have the same filtering options that ID does have down here with the points. You know, so say if I wanted to take away the points, those go away. If I wanted to take away like the paths, like that. The reason that's an interesting question is because it's actually not saving any bandwidth, but it can improve the performance of your screen because it's drawing less stuff. So we do recommend that people can play around with these. But yeah, behind the scenes, it is still fetching all this stuff from OpenStreetMap, and there's really not a way around that. But yeah, you can turn off the features just the same as you could in ID. And then so here we've detected some rapid buildings. These are from Microsoft. You know, you can turn these off also if you either don't want to see them or just want to save a little bandwidth that way.
Yeah, actually, it would be interesting. Like I was showing this on the presentation, but if you can show like quickly like how to map building with Rapid and show like, how will it save time in terms of like not drawing a geometry. If you go probably
we'll turn these back on. So these are the buildings around here. And another nice thing about our buildings layer is we have this thing called conflation, which is a fancy way of saying, you know, our service is going to look at OSM and it's going to only try to show you the buildings that it thinks aren't on OSM already. Let me just also, I want to turn off the 3D map just because it's not really helping me right here. And I do want to make sure that with the features, if I go into the map data, I want to show all the features here, including the buildings. Yeah, so this is a case where you can see that this is around some of the buildings are mapped and some are not. This looks like maybe a new building here, this kind of T-shaped building. What I would also do in this situation is just because I can see that the imagery is it's not really aligned very good. I'm going to try to maybe look for a better one. Bing and Esri look like they're showing almost the same thing here. Let me check my box. Oh, that's a little better, but not really. Well, I guess we'll just go back to Esri. But yeah, we found this building here. If you say you can choose whether to use or ignore, we like to say that all of this purple stuff on the map is suggestions. And so you really should kind of use your own judgment about whether it actually belongs in OpenStreetMap or not. But yeah, this is a pretty clear one where it's a building that was missing. We go back up into the park. I remember how I had said that there was some new construction in this park, and so we're going to add this. It looks like a shed of some kind, and you can also rotate these too with the same shift arrows, which you use to rotate the map. You can rotate features with. I've found this is a case where where you're adding a lot of features, a lot of times you want to just kind of like move them into shape with the arrow keys. And this is something, this right here, I don't know what this is, but it's not a building. So I'm just going to say ignore so it doesn't show up for me anymore. When you say ignore, it doesn't make it go away completely. It just means it's hiding for me. If I refresh, it'll come back. But at some point we were looking into maybe supporting some kind of like a map feedback where, you know, this information about what we're ignoring goes back to Microsoft to help them improve their machine learning, so that, you know, then the next time they refresh the buildings, we would hope that their code does a better job of detecting them. Does that kind of answer your question a bit?
Yeah.
I still have some buildings over here, and you know, this is going to be actually very almost, I don't know, it's fun to just go in and kind of add buildings and clean up the buildings that are there. Again, I'm a little hesitant to do that just because the imagery is so we call this off nadir, when it's like not looking directly down but off kind of at an angle. So I wouldn't go and change all the rest of this stuff in Kenya. And okay, here's a good example of sometimes the building will it'll hallucinate something that's just no good. And the reason probably for this is because the imagery here is at an angle, and so you can tell it like tried really hard to detect the building here, but it just didn't do a great job. So I would ignore that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got
the other thing, I'm sorry to interrupt. The other thing too is we, you know, whatever Microsoft did to detect their buildings, you know, that like this is a good example of how it might detect buildings really great in, you know, wherever they had trained this model, but it maybe doesn't detect buildings great everywhere. So, you know, use your best judgment about whether to accept things like that. Sorry.
No, I think that was good clarification. So Ralph is asking, like, will JOSM style building tool be added to Neve Rapid to speed up building drawing and improve security?
I would love to do this. Yeah. So this is I mean, you could kind of think of this as, you know, a lot of those issues that have been hanging around the ID repo for a long time are, you know, things that, you know, they're good ideas, but we maybe just didn't have the time to build it, you know, back then. You know, as we are deciding where to spend our time on Rapid, you know, things like that speed up mappers, make them more efficient is going to be stuff that we want to do. So yeah, a building tool, sort of like what JOSM has. I would love to be able to, I've seen people map very efficiently with that, where, you know, you can pick out pieces of the building and extrude them. You know, so I think that is something, it's not like we have it planned specifically, but yeah, we'd be interested in supporting something like that. Hey, Saeed, I don't know if you wanted to talk about Overture at all, but we do have an integration with Overture a little bit. I don't know if that's like something that would be interesting to this group of folks.
Yeah, I think like there is one more question. So if you have
yeah, sorry. I actually can't see the chat at the same time as the
okay, no worries. I can help you with that.
Yeah, if you tell me what people are asking.
I'll help you with the question. So how does Map with AI JOSM plugin compare to a browser-based Rapid for users who are used to mapping with JOSM?
Yeah, and so we should say that if you are used to mapping with JOSM, you should use the Map with AI plugin, because that plugin, also any of this purple stuff that you see in Rapid is available through the JOSM plugin too. So you have your familiar JOSM workflows about, I'm obviously like not the most informed person about this, but if you have the Map with AI stuff on one layer and you can copy it into the OSM layer, and then JOSM again has like validations that are useful for running there. So yeah, that's what I would recommend if you're a power JOSM user and you want to use Map with AI. Then all of this stuff, all of these data sets here, you know, you can use Map with AI for them.
Yeah, that's great. Do we have any other like questions? So feel free to share it on the chat or just unmute yourself and
Yeah. Or if there's anyone, I don't know if you guys want to do some of this live too. If there's a place in the world you want to see, just how Rapid does, like just we could go there and check it out. Um, I've also wanted to say, like, I've spent a lot of time on the improving the labeling. So this is something that maybe people don't think about too much, but labeling is a really hard problem. Um, for drawing maps, and I think it gives a lot of important context for an editor, like Rapid. If you're drawing, seeing where all the streets are, um, with ID the labeling was pretty basic. Like a street like this would maybe get one label, and you might see it or you might not. But with Rapid, we do try to show the street name a lot of different places along a line, and we do have support for, I would say, like, Unicode, which means that if you're mapping in a place like, I don't know, what's a good city? Like, I think we were playing around with, where what city it was. It was probably like someplace in China or Taiwan where it had like just a ton of labels, and Rapid was showing them all really well. But if there's any place that anybody here wants to see, then I'd be happy to open it up and show it off. We also show labels around the edges of these parks. So if it's an area feature, we try to show labels around the edge of it. And then we also show, this is kind of neat too. This pin here is like a virtual pin. You can click on it and still edit the park. It's something else that ID doesn't have. I don't know if you've had this experience where ID will put the label kind of in the middle, and a lot of times it's just not visible, right? But so what we do for features that are mapped as areas, if we can put a point in the middle of the area, we will, and that's cool because as you zoom out, right, you'll see a lot of points here that you just wouldn't see, in ID. You get a real overview of where the mapping has happened, just because a lot of these are pins that you have to zoom in to really to see what all this stuff is, but we do try to at least show the pin, even if we can't show the text. And again, all these texts, they, like, as we rotate the map, it will recompute, which labels fit where. So there's a lot of work has been put into this for sure.
Yeah, I love this.
And I'm not sure how much of this is coming across in the meet call, but like the map is, you can edit, you can scroll it around. It's performing really pretty well for me. And we're always looking at ways to kind of improve the performance. Like, I know, from a developer point of view, I know that this scenes that we're sending the WebGL are not particularly optimized. So there's even a lot of room for improvement there. Just for doing a better job than we already are.
Yeah, there is another really good question from Rob. So when we give feedback and don't agree with AI footprint, is this used as a feedback to improve footprint?
Okay, the answer is not currently, but that's something that we would want to add. And we have to actually figure this out. I don't know how much people know about this, but we're not collecting any data from the user. So that's one of those situations where if they were going to provide that feedback and we were to take it back and share it with Microsoft or save it somewhere, we would have to make sure that the user understands that, like, hey, we're going to take this feedback from you, and do you accept, having your feedback used this way? So because we aren't going through any of those steps yet, we actually don't collect any information about the users, aside from just the basic, as you edit OSM, obviously that those edits are going into OSM, and that's the expectation there. But we're not collecting the data about the feedback yet. We would have to let people like opt into that somehow.
Yeah, there is a request from Iro Sario that there is an unmapped community in Myanmar. So he shared the link.
Let me see if I apologize if we do another one of those infinity things, but I will take this map hash right here, and we'll go back to Rapid. So paste it up here.
We should have Google buildings as well.
Yeah, let's try them. So this is another. Let me put Rapid on here. If you want to see, oh, sorry, you said Google buildings.
If you search Google, there might be
And for Myanmar, so they haven't come out in every.
okay, it's country by country. So
Oh yeah.
let's start with Microsoft.
Well, here's another thing. Yeah, I could try to go look for the Google buildings actually, but yeah, if you want to use the Microsoft ones, that's a pretty good. We'll see how those look here. Look at the Facebook roads too. The Facebook roads did detect a lot of stuff, so this is a great place to try it out. Yeah, I would we could do a lot of mapping here. So first we'll say I will check a couple. I always recommend you try a couple of these different imageries just to see which is the one that might maybe match up the best. They all look pretty similarly. This one maybe looks a little better, the Esri Wayback. Esri Wayback, I believe the latest one should match world imagery, should be like pretty much the same thing. And the oldest one, the 2014, should match the Clarity imagery. We'll try if I'm right about that. No, I'm not. Interesting. But yeah, so this one here is not very good. I'm just going to go with the latest Esri, the latest Esri. And so what we'll do here, I always do recommend you align the imagery. I think you guys know this already, that you can look at it. Well, this is a challenging spot because the roads were mapped one way and the buildings are all aligned a little bit differently. But we're gonna just do the best we can, right? So what I will do here, and this is a case where the Microsoft buildings aren't that great. I don't know, Saeed, what do you think? Should we just start adding them, or?
Yeah, I think the alignment is not great in this
Yeah,
case.
the alignment's going to be challenging here. But what we can do, I mean, I will show, like, if you've got some buildings like these ones that are really not aligned well, you can add it and you can use the cursor keys to kind of move them. Oops.
I mean, this will save some time, but overall,
Yeah.
it's not really.
Yeah, if you're, I for sure, if you're awesome at the JOSM building tools, like, you should keep using those. But you can be pretty efficient with mapping buildings this way too. Like I can just add a bunch like this. So we'll take these 5 and I'll just select them all like this, and I'll kind of like move them around. And then this one I think needs to be rotated better. This one didn't really go where I wanted it, but yeah. So it's kind of like if you've used other drawing tools like Adobe or Figma or something, this should be kind of familiar. Just being able to move shapes around. And then, so here it's detected the roads, this is a good detection here. I think I would personally take off, this end of it like that. But the rest of this seems not so bad. Yeah, so we could also add roads, Yeah, there's a lot of work to do here. So this is a good location to just map in. I got that feeling where there's like a lot to do,
Yeah, but I think it's not like really out of box solution.
Yeah,
It still requires some manual
it
intervention
does.
after.
Yeah.
For some reason I cannot see chat as well, but there was a comment from Ralph. Yeah, there is
I
no
wonder
like
if I can.
universal. Okay, here I got back. So there will be like poor alignment because each set of imageries or corrected differently to the last one, to other images. Yeah, which is
So Yeah, to think about every imagery is going to have a different alignment, and then whatever alignment happened to be the one that Microsoft trained their buildings on, is those so the buildings have an alignment that matches whatever day they did that, you know. So that's kind of the job of the mapper, is to kind of, you know, just kind of take all that information in and try to like edit the map. Just do the best you can, really.
Yeah, maybe like we can show one of the open data example from US where government shares like crispy clear billing
Yeah.
open data. And this is actually like the way like why we are kind of asking users to validate. Otherwise, we would organize global import campaign, right? Or Microsoft would do it.
Yeah. So this is a place I kind of grew up. So I lived in Philadelphia a while ago, and I grew up around the outsides of Philadelphia. We can add the Chester County addresses and Chester County buildings. And so I'm going to add these things. And this is kind of neat. You can change the colors so that, you know, if you've got a lot of purple stuff, you can pick some other colors. And then we know where Chester County is. If I say center map here, it will take me to it, at least the outside area. And then we're going to like zoom in. We should start seeing the addresses and buildings pop in at some point. But, oh, there they are. Yeah, so the addresses are maybe a little overwhelming here, but okay. And then the buildings are here in green. Let's see, there we go. Yeah, so this is a case where Chester County opened up all their building and address data, and we'll show that, you know, the Bing Maps looks really great here too. There are the reason people ask why are a lot of these layers in the United States, is because there's incentives legally, like for every organization to kind of open up their data. And so maybe Chester County or Pennsylvania or one of these places where they have the building data, there might even be a law that says like you have to open your data up. And because they're already partnered with Esri, it's easy for them to just go into their Esri system and check a box that says I want to share this data through Esri's community data sharing program. And once they've done that, then the folks at Esri can just add it to this list. This list here, there's over 100 of them in there already. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's been kind of steadily climbing. And Esri reviews them just to say like, okay, is this good enough to be added to OpenStreetMap? And Esri takes care of like sort of the licensing issues, making sure that it's licensed appropriately to get added as ODBL data to OpenStreetMap. So yeah, there's probably nobody I don't know if anybody on this call is working with GIS or is a custodian or like responsible for data like this, but you know, if you are able to reach out to Esri and get your data added to this screen, they've been pretty willing to work with people on it. And so this is a case where, yeah, the data looks really great here. You know, we'll just start adding again, like little fix-ups like this is usually normal, but, and then some people like to have the addresses. So this address kind of goes with this building. You can add the address like that, and then you can merge them together, right? Like with this, and then the address and building get merged together. I don't automatically tell people to do this unless you're really sure that this is the standard of mapping in, you know, around this place, because there are a lot of places around the world where they like to keep the addresses in the building separate. So this is sort of a local community decision. Like you might find people will say, hey, you forgot to merge the addresses, or then if there's other places where you merge them, they'll say, hey, we want to keep them separate here for reasons like. But it's your choice, really. I mean, or your community's choice. You could just go around and just add stuff. And then I think,
yeah,
it found something here. I guess it said, oh, the 2 points are very close. So this will happen sometimes with like GIS data. I don't know which points it's talking about, but sometimes you can see that there's like extra points in here. Maybe there's a couple that are like super close together. So there's no harm in just hitting the square corners or merging points that are, yeah, like that. obviously, like, we want to have the buildings look as good as they can. You've probably all had that experience where you map some stuff in OpenStreetMap, and then people from the community say, "Hey, you should map it a little better," or you know, that happens sometimes with these buildings too. Take that.
Yeah, in this case, saves a lot of time since the geometries are crystal clear.
Yeah.
Along the imagery.
Yeah, and this is a really great way to just improve the map.
Yeah, I think we are almost out of time, but yeah, there is a couple of comments and short question we can just address before basically like wrapping up.
Oh, somebody, we could either respond to these after. It says, okay, there's a Telegram group. I actually did find a way to put the window over here so I can look at what people are saying.
Yeah, maybe like, let's quickly address some of the comments and questions, then we can just wrap up here. For cadastral parcels for UK, I think that might be good layer to add Rapid. If you can share like some pointer with us, how we can access the data, we can definitely, or maybe create an issue on GitHub, right? That's the best thing.
They might already be there, actually. So we use the same layers that ID uses, and so if they've been added as an overlay to that particular layer project, it's the same imagery that's used by ID, Potlatch, Vespucci. All the editors kind of use the same source of imagery. So if they've been added there, then they'll be in Rapid as well. And I thought the cadastral layers were there already. Let's see. Is it OSM UK? Let's look. I don't want to go to London, but I guess I'll go to London. Why not?
So Patrick is asking, is there any plan to predict rivers and water bodies with AI?
I will say we have no plan, but that is something we do get asked about, predicting other kinds of features, and it's certainly doable. And I'm kind of the front end person. I don't really have as much to do with the actual data, but it's like if the data exists and we can add it, and it's useful for mapping, I think that we're interested in adding it. But yeah, I don't think. Yeah, here they are. Sorry, this is to go back to the OSM UK cadastral parcels. They're there, and they do show up. See, so that's neat. I don't do a lot of UK mapping, so I don't know too much about this overlay, but I know that the UK folks are, they use it a lot just to make sure the imagery is aligned well. But yeah, to go back to the question of, are there other types of data that we want to predict from machine learning? Yeah, that would be a different team that does all of that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much end of our time. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone joining us today, either your evening, your midday, or morning. So for Brian, it's just starting the day with a Rapid event.
Yeah. This time is pretty great for me, but I know it's not great for everybody. So thank you to anyone who's stayed up late to be on this.
That's great.
Or if you're on the West Coast, apologies to anybody who had to wake up super early.
Awesome. So that was a great event. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And thanks Miko and Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific for hosting us. That was quite fun. And yeah, I think recordings will be available. And then there is a Airtable link here, which Miko just shared it. So
yes.
And
yeah, thank you, Said. Thank you, Brian. So for those who would like to get an e-certificate for the API Hub for this session, feel free to sign up for the Airtable link. It's a participant form, and also we'll be emailing the recording of this session. So just some quick announcements before we wrap up. Thank you so much, Said and Brian. Thank you. So we also have other upcoming trainings for OpenStreetMap communities enthusiasts out there. So we'll be having the OSM community disaster activation training next week, same time, Friday, and the mastering training delivery and intro to Miro board with two of our community trainers. So how do we get to register here? It's the same how you registered for this training. Go to the AP Hub training link and register your email, and we'll be sending the meeting room link and calendar invite via the email. So we also have the YouTube. We have a new YouTube for the Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific where we upload the training. So eventually, I think this training will be uploaded there once I get the time to have it uploaded. And also, we have a wiki page wherein you can see all the past AP Hub Open Mapping Guru trainings available for everyone to access. So the link is on the lower part. If you sign up in the form, I'll send all the details actually there. Lastly, we have activations right now for Afghanistan. You can help mappers all around the world to map faster using MapSwipe. So feel free to go to download MapSwipe and map using your phones, or jump into Tasking Manager. I think the Rapid editor is also activated there now, and help us map roads in Baglan district in Afghanistan. I think that's it. Yeah, feel free to email me at openmappinghub.ap@hotosm.org. And just a shout out to Saeed. I'm going to share the link again for the Telegram group. I just joined right now. So feel free, everyone, please do join the Telegram channel so that we can have more updates from our wonderful meta trainers, Saeed and Brian. So I guess that's it from my side, Saeed. Any last words from both of you?
Yeah, awesome. It was really fun to talk about Rapid, and then having Brian, and then talking really all the improvements and what's coming. And then it was also really interesting for us to hear from our users how they're using it, what are the like feature requests and feedback. So thanks a lot for being so generous with the feedback as well.
Yeah. To echo that, we love the feedback. If you find issues with it, we're available on GitHub. We also have, I don't think this was mentioned before, but on the Hot Slack, there's a rapid feedback channel that is bridged with the OSM US Slack. And so if you're either in OSM US Slack or Hot Slack, and you find that rapid feedback channel, you can chat with us directly about any of this stuff too. So we get some good feedback that way. But I'm also on the Telegram. I check in with that sometimes. So, we try to meet the community wherever they are. We know that like everyone's kind of spread out and they go on different channels for different things. But we try to be easy to find.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.